It has been my pleasure to work at the University of South Carolina during the past 5 years in the College of Engineering and Computing. Most recently, I've worked with the outreach, education and outreach program with the Energy Frontiers Research Center. The director of that center is Dr. Kenneth Reifsnider, who will be talking about that center on Tuesday afternoon. So I'll not be speaking about the center directly. He will give you the technical research focus of that center. I'm just talking about one of the small sidelines of that program, which is the Education and Outreach Program. In order to do that, I'll set the stage as an introduction with a little bit of information about the workforce in the 20th century, and then lead into this description of our particular activities. In the 20th century, as most everyone my age, maybe the young people here are not so aware of how fast the technology moved through the 20th century, but at the beginning of the 20th century, the workforce was 38% farmers. By the end of the 20th century, it was 3% farmers, and people were moved, of course, into the professional, technical, and service professions. A very interesting company and what has happened to Kodak. In 1900, Kodak had their Brownie camera on sale, introduced for $1 each. In 1975, Steve Sasson with Eastman Kodak invented the digital camera. In 2009, Steve Sasson received the National Medal for Innovation in Technology. In 2012, Kodak was in bankruptcy and is now selling their digital printing business. Some people say they have a digital printing business, but they do evidently, and they're selling it. Innovation was the key to success in the 20th century for the U.S., and we are a world leader in innovation and development and use of technology. China has learned that there's more money in being innovative than there is in doing the manufacturing. So they are moving very quickly into innovation, and one of the ways that they think that they will be successful is in the use of research and development centers. In 1997, they had 24. In 2005, they had 1,300. Now, what are they doing in the centers? They are training their young engineers in management and managing projects, working on teams, setting standards, and protecting intellectual property. This information is discussed in mechanical engineering. Dennis Simon, China's Innovation Gap, I think is the name of the article. An interesting thing was announced recently. GE brings their engine work back to the US. They have two reasons that are stated in the newspaper article. This was out February the 7th of this year. One is their supply chain was so long, complicated, and became unmanageable. They even bought one of the companies to try to make it more accurate. And the other is that they felt the need to protect their intellectual property. So I don't know if this will be a trend to the future or not, but we go into the 20th century now, or already into it, and one of the things that I would hope that we would accomplish this century would be a worldwide intellectual property protection, and that we will close the gap in our workforce between the technology and the labor force, and that we will provide a more technical education in K through 12. This is an article that has recently lists South Carolina as number 2 in economic development of all the states, and it's primarily in our growth in the technical job market. One of the things that South Carolina is doing is a lot of emphasis on STEM education. the science, technology, engineering, and math. And that was the primary factor that caused us to be listed as number 2. Now we get to the programs that we conducted for the education and outreach effort for the Energy Frontiers Research Center, which is funded by the Department of Energy. The first thing we did was to offer a workshop for elementary school teachers in how to teach engineering to their students. Leaphart Elementary School became a magnet school in engineering arts the same year that Dr. Kenneth Reifsnider received the grant for the EFRC Center. Here we have the first set of workshop teachers with what we call the technical toy. They are out charging the solar cell battery in this energy toy, and we have a technical professional engineer helping 2 of the teachers with the details of how to use the toy and how to teach the students about it. It has a wet cell battery, a solar cell, a windmill, a hand crank, and a voltage meter. So the students very early on are taught a method of experimentation, problem solving, and collecting their data and recording it. We use primarily the EIE materials. I don't know if you're familiar with these or not. Engineering is elementary, designed and marketed by the Boston Science Museum and funded entirely by private contributions. It's tested and refined by classroom teachers, and the development of a new topic takes 2 years. It has a teacher's guide, which is extremely detailed. It is a storybook of a child from, they're all different cultures around the world, and the child has a problem. And in solving the problem, the children in the classroom get involved in an activity. They might be building a windmill, they might be cleaning some polluted water, or they might be designing a submarine. So each topic is a grade specific, but generally in 2 different categories. And primarily, the whole emphasis is on problem solving. The topics that we used were improving Play-Doh, designing windmills, building walls, designing bridges, making an alarm clock, designing submarines, parachutes, cleaning up an oil spill, and replicating an artifact which dealt with hardness of materials. We followed the workshop with a reading program involving the Engineers Without Borders. The Engineers Without Borders are a service organization, and all engineering majors may join. Those students went out to a couple of elementary schools and read stories to kindergarten and first grade students and talked to them about engineering. What do engineers do? And they told the students what they did. And the whole idea was to get the students at their level involved in engineering to be more knowledgeable about the engineering discipline. Here are the students who read for these students, young kindergarten and first graders, and they had a marvelous time. I must say they were very, very nervous. Like any new experience, if you've been a parent, you think reading a storybook is not that hard. But if you haven't been a parent, you don't know what to expect. It's a little more difficult and challenging. The Engineers Without Borders stuck with us for another project which they conducted this fall. They helped some elementary and three elementary schools, children with their Lego projects so that they could enter the competition in the typical Lego contest for schools. I think is held in December. And here you have the Engineers Without Borders students. They worked, 5 of them worked with 3 elementary schools. I will say that Ken and I gave them a financial incentive for that. We find that we learned that they needed funding because they bid on projects primarily in the developing world so that their club can go and spend a summer or a semester building a water source for a community that doesn't have fresh water, or some other project to help a community. And in order to bid on those projects, they have to have a certain amount of funding. So we contributed to help them achieve their goal, and they helped us achieve our goal. So it was a wonderful experience, and we enjoyed it. They did too. We then went to an in-service day for 6th and 8th grade teachers in the science teachers, specifically topics of energy. And they were faculty lectures in the, throughout the morning, laboratory tours, and demonstrations of projects that they might teach in their classroom in the afternoon. The lecture materials, the lectures were videotaped, and they're up on URLs for the teachers to use as they needed them in their classroom. Adventure Children's Museum contacted us and asked us to help them with their summer course, which was funded by the South Carolina Department of Education. We had 133 participants from 75 schools, 40 school districts in 29 counties. And we gave a teacher's guide for an appropriate level engineering is elementary manual to each teacher who attended that class. We followed that up with sessions on campus co-sponsored by the Adventure Children's Museum and the College of Engineering and Computing, in which the teachers in small groups, depending on what title they selected, we offered a session for each title. And all the teachers with those titles came to the session and were led through that by an advanced EIE teacher or a professional engineer. And then they toured all of the labs, their engineering labs on campus. Our largest impact program was 1,500 teachers. It was a Lexington Richland 5 school district in-service program. They called it STEAM instead of STEM because they were recognizing engineering arts. I guess that had some meaning for them, or they were trying to indicate to put STEAM behind the energy of the STEM program. But we had 18 faculty, graduate students, and professional engineers, and we taught 41 sessions for that one-day program with 1,500 teachers. You can imagine how many people you have to get through a session, and each teacher was required to attend 3 technical sessions. We were responsible for all of the engineering technical sessions. PITSCO also had some materials there. We used EIE materials and some PITSCO materials, along with robots. And also, I must mention that the Engineering Without Borders sent 2 students, and one of them to do the Lego demonstration. And one of them had programmed a wonderful Lego robot who just did marvelous things. And so we need to give a vote of thanks to the Engineers Without Borders. Here are some of those sessions. Ken Reifsnider did one on personal power of music, because the music teachers, we'd gotten word that the music teachers didn't feel like there were any programs for them. So Ken Reifsnider is a musician, and he decided that he would combine the music and the technical field. And those sessions were filled with standing room only because of the uniqueness of the topic and the appealing nature to the arts and sciences teachers. The teachers in the middle, the group picture in the middle, are teachers who took the class. This is the solar car that was built. So the teachers in that group built their own solar car, and then they wanted to race it with the solar car put together by the teacher. So they're out there racing the solar cars, and it was really a fun activity. Some more pictures of that event. There was a fuel cell summer camp for middle school students, also sponsored by the Continuing Education Division, the College of Engineering, and the EFRC. I do want to mention a little bit about family night programs, because this is one way that we have gotten out to speak with parents of the young children. And the little red car, which was a gift to the to the Department of Mechanical Engineering by Ken Reifsnider, it has been evolving from a gasoline engine to a fuel cell engine. And so a couple of students who worked on it took it out to a family night at Leapart Elementary School, and the children enjoyed it immensely. It was a little car. It's a three-wheel car, and it was the size that they could all relate to. So it was a very exciting adventure, and another way that we could promote engineering for the young children. And then we have Northside Elementary students and parents there. Activities for high school students have been mentoring as publicity about the Fuel Cell Center and the Energy Frontiers Research Center have been available in the community. These students have approached the faculty and asked for mentoring for their senior projects. I won't think I'll go there. I want to thank the faculty and the many people who've worked on these projects. I won't read the names, but I will tell you that there are 45 names there. And all of these people, some of them did one session, some of them did 10 sessions. We've had some very loyal faculty, graduate students, as well as the Engineers Without Borders and the professional engineers who have supported this project. And I would like to thank the organizers who invited me, but I'd also like to thank the technical people back here. I was just wondering how long they've been in their jobs, but it's such a new field to come to a hotel like this and have such wonderful technical support. Thank you very much.
Martha, thank you. Questions? There'll be a mic going around if you just raise your hand with questions about this. There's one right here in the back.
Hi. Do you think that this program could be implemented on a countrywide scale?
Certainly, I do. Engineering as elementary materials are used in every state in the Union. They've been out there a while. New topics are coming out, but it takes so long to get a new topic developed. But there are plenty of the existing topics, and there are companies with other materials that could be used. But an emphasis farther down into the lower grades is very important, because as some of you technical students here today know, that if you don't take the right math courses very early on in school, you don't have a chance of getting into an engineering program. So, if you think of, any little young child you know, they just gravitate to technology. They want to play with any new technical toy. And so they are just like a little sponge in absorbing any of the technology. And they're great problem solvers, too.
Another question?
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Stanfield. I go to the University of Tennessee. I was wondering, so you said this is an elementary school. I was wondering how students are placed into that magnet program.
Pardon?
I was wondering how students are placed into the magnet program at Leapart Elementary.
Oh, they're not placed. The entire school, it's a community school. Every child in that school is a part of that program. The school is about 600 students, and it is almost exactly 50% minority, 50% majority. And so every student has a chance at it. Once the community students' spots are there, then any other student in the district who wants to attend, and if there's a place in that classroom, they may come there. So that's the magnet aspect of it. But the beauty of this school was that every student was automatically a member.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. Let's thank Martha again.